Hello Weekend Crafter, welcome back to the Craft Time Studio. This is Ange, your Weekend Crafter, and for this weekend we are going to review Sculpey's new mold maker. But before that, if you haven't yet, I hope that you consider liking and subscribing to the Craft Time Studio for your weekend dose of crafts. So like I said, Sculpey released a new mold maker. Actually, it's not a new product technically because I saw in other blogs that they already used a similar product, except that the packaging was a different color and also the clay, I think, inside was a different color as well. I think theirs was a little bit on the yellow-orange side, while this one, well, let's see. This one is on the violet side. So the pack comes with just these two packages of the mold maker clay and the instructions. So let us read the instructions on how to use this. So for making molds, dust item to be molded with cornstarch or baby powder. So I have here some baby powder. I don't use this anymore, so I'm glad to be able to find some use for it. And then you have to condition a piece of mold maker that is thicker than the item to be molded. Carefully press the item into the mold maker. Gently remove original from the mold maker. Bake on an oven-proof glass or metal surface at 285 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes for 1/4 of thickness. So it says here, particularly do not use microwave oven and do not overbake. Wash hands after use, and after baking, the mold is permanent and flexible. So, like I said earlier, what we will be using here is some baby powder, or if you have cornstarch, use cornstarch. Unfortunately, I don't have any cornstarch, so I'm sticking with baby powder. And then I have the brush for brushing on the cabochons, and I have the container just to contain the powder in. Also, I set aside like a small plastic container to place the opened mold maker in, because I don't know like if it will stiffen if it's open already. So I'm just setting that aside. So for my items to be molded, I actually chose pieces that have a lot of detail in them, which makes them, convenient if in case I'm successful in making molds out of them. So these are the items. So these are actually cute, very cute buttons that I collected in my youth, and as you can see, it's very detailed. There are a lot of embossed areas here that if it's successful in becoming a mold, I would definitely have some good use for that. So these are actual buttons. It has that button loop there. So those are the two things that I want to make studs out of. And then for the bigger pieces, I'm choosing this one. Came from like an old clip. This is the attachment of the clip. So I wanted something with an attachment so that I could pull it out of the mold using pliers. And as you can see, there are also embossed details here that I want to play around with and see if it will reflect in the mold. And finally, I'm trying this one out. This is a cabochon. It's not a button. It's not a hair thing. It's really just a blank thing at the back, and it has embossed and debossed details. So I think this will be a little bit challenging. I want to see if I'm able to pull it out of the mold without distorting the mold itself. Okay, so those are my pieces. So I'm just setting them aside as I try to see how to condition this clay. So for the smaller, it did say that the clay has to be a little bit thicker than what you're trying to mold into. So let's try this. It actually didn't say in the instructions if I should for how long should I condition it for, but let's try. It's not that hard actually. It's not a stiff clay, so it's rather soft. So I'm just gonna try to make a square piece, just so that it's easier to store also. So I want to make something that's a little bit square, on the square side. And let's see, this is pretty thick, so I want to make it a little bit thinner and also a little bit smaller. I don't want to waste material. So it's said to dust the pieces. Okay. So it's a good thing that this has like a loop that I can hold on to. And I'm just going to lightly dust it with some powder for easy release. And let's check this out. Okay, so now that the thing is completely pressed on, I'm just going to release it. Okay, that was easy enough. So let me just still cut off a little bit of it and then set it aside. Okay, so I think you can, like, if you feel like it needs to be repositioned, you can still position it. All right, so that's the first one. So again, we're doing like trying to make a square shaped or rectangular shaped mold, and then we're going to press this down a little bit. Okay. Just dusting everything and pressing it down like so. Okay, and releasing. Okay, so quite easy. And now for the bigger pieces. So obviously you need a bigger piece of clay also. So the clay, my review of the clay itself, it's very soft. I don't think it's going to be hard for you to actually use it. I did read somewhere, I did watch from someone saying that they used this clay to make their other Sculpey clay softer. I don't know if that's good advice. I haven't tried it yet. But maybe because it is of a softer variety, then it's probably going to work. So a little bit more because it's a big piece. Or maybe I can start with the cabochon. Maybe I'll just try to start with the cabochon. So this one's a little bit challenging because there's actually no handle for me to hold on to. So let's see how it translates when I have to release the clay from the mold. So let's see. So it does get a little bit tricky. Let me get my detail needle to see if I can release it. Oops. I don't think that will work. I think maybe if I made it deeper. Let's rethink this because I don't think that I made a deep enough mold for it. Okay. So a good thing about it is that since it's not baked, even if you make mistakes, you can just, go through the process again. So maybe I'll start with the heart first because I think this is a little bit more tricky, especially since I have nothing to hold on to. Okay, with the heart. Okay, so are we happy with that? I can see some errors here in the where the flowers are. Maybe I'll do it one last time. So it's really a trial and error with these new things, and I hope that you have a little bit of patience with me as I try this out because it's also my first time, like yourself who's watching. If you ever try this out, at least you will learn from my mistakes. So maybe a little bit more powder on the sides of it because it was kind of difficult to release on the sides. Okay. Whew. Okay, I think that is a better mold now. Let us set that aside. And then I want to try out the special cabochon and see if I will find any success in making a mold out of it. Okay, so we'll be dusting this again. And I'm going to see how deep I can go in pushing it down and then still being able to release it after. So I think this is pretty deep already. And let's try to release it from the side using a needle. Okay, so yeah, we were able to do that. And then we're just going to close this gap here. Just doing it manually. Okay, so let's see how that turns out. Oh wait, do you see what I see here? There's a big gash here. So I think I need to repeat it one last time. The original doesn't have any gash in it, so that will definitely show in the design. Okay, let's try it one last time because I'm actually not convinced that this will be a good mold because somehow I don't know how I'm going to be able to release the clay from it. One last time. So that means also that the top actually needs to be very smooth when you do the pressing down of the mold, because if you have cracks on the top of this, it will also reflect when you push down the mold. Okay. So I'm also going to dust the sides for easier releasing. Okay, one last time. So I'm trying to, push it down using equal weight and seeing if, even if it's already pushed down, I can still somehow release it. There you go. There. So there's a little bit of depth here now. We'll see if this will already turn out okay. Again, we're closing this gap over here. Also trying to smoothen the hole over there. So now we have 4 molds that I need to bake. And then I'll get back to you shortly after this bakes. And we will try it out using actual clay. See you in a bit.
20 minutes later.
So I'm bringing the baked molds out. Here they are. These are all baked now. And we shall try them out. So I just wanted to note that this is how it is once it's baked. So there's a little bit of a give to it, but I want to show you also, these are my silicone molds. So obviously, silicone molds are softer, which also makes it easier for the clay to come out of the mold. So I'm not sure how it will be with this one because it's not as bendy. So this is it, with a lot of effort on my part to squeeze that. So we'll see how it will work with the clay. So let's try this crayon out first. And I wanted to focus a little bit on the detail of this. This is the original button. As you can see, there's really a lot of detail on the button itself. This is a small crayon, so I want to see if these lines will appear once I demold my clay. So let's just try out a bit of clay on this. So I'll just do exactly what I would do if I was using my silicone molds. I normally don't dust my mold. So we'll do it 2 ways. I'll do first one without dusting, and we'll see how it is when released. So basically, this is what I do. I just press my clay down and then use a satin slice to just clean everything up. So one other thing that I've observed is you have to be conscious of once you press on your cabochon or what you're making a mold of, you need to see if it's level, because right now, as you can tell, it's not level because my clay is not coming off as easily, or it's not flattening off as easily. Plus also, as you can tell, I can actually cut through the mold. Let's see if it's easy to demold. So as you can tell also now that we're doing this, it is harder to squeeze the clay out. Let's see if I normally wouldn't use any needle on this because I don't want to ruin the design of it, but because I couldn't take it out, I want to see how it looks like. Okay, so yeah, you can see the ridges here, and you can see that center that's embossed. So this is the original. But it's definitely not clean. So if I were to do it in my usual mold, I wouldn't have any of these lines. So I don't know, it could be my fault because I didn't flatten this out evenly. So I think that's something that I should continue practicing on. Let me try again, just dusting it first and seeing if it will release easier. Or maybe another reason might be that my mold is too exact. Like maybe there should be more give to it. So this one is the dusted one already. Let's put some clay into that. Okay. And again, slice off the excess. Yeah, I'm not getting the same, clean slices that I would get on my silicone mold. So it seems like it's easier to demold when it's dusted. So definitely do that when you're using this kind of mold. So probably what I would do to clean this up is just to, remove the sides. Yeah. It works, but I think I still need to practice making the molds. I'll keep you posted on that when I have done, I've done a bit of practice on this and seen if I can actually, come up with a clean product. So yeah, so that's the how it looks like using this. Let's try the bigger pieces and see if they're any better. So let's try out the heart-shaped one. Again, I'm a little bit doubtful on this because seeing the difference of this mold where everything is flat. So I want to try to see if I could shave off like the unflat pieces and see if I can actually come up with a cleaner mold. Yeah, so it's definitely not easy to shave it off. And also a little bit of a challenge to get it off again. This is definitely harder to remove this with a mold like this. Look at it. Though, as you can tell, it could be a successful mold, but I think you really need to dust the piece first. But you can see the design. This is the original. Actually, could become a very nice mold if I were successful with it. I can see the flowers. They're quite clear. But yeah, if you look at the mold, definitely will need some dusting on this. So I'm not gonna try to attempt to show you the rest because like this one has a lot of details also in this one as well. I'm going to do this off cam and see if I could give some advice for you. Especially, for example, if the mold that you're making is this thick, it's not going to be as bendy. So I'm back on cam. This is the mold. I shaved down the sides to make it more flat. And this is the bottom that I was trying to copy. And these are the results of me using the mold. So as you can see, I got a lot of the details of the original piece. And while it's a little bit fussy to use because, of course, this is 3 colors in one piece, but I think I'm happy with the result. So for this mold, I would say that for a first-time user, I think this is a pretty good result. Okay, unfortunately for this heart piece, I don't think that my mold was as successful. I think that I should have pressed it
deeper because the piece that was created is a lot thinner, if you can see here, than the original. So yeah. So I think that there's still room for improvement in this instance.
I will try to experiment with it more because I'm still very curious to see how it might work with the because I have a lot of cabochons, I have a lot of these buttons that I want to make molds out of. So I'll definitely keep you posted if this is going to be a successful project for me. So that is it for today's polymer clay review of this product, the Sculpey Mold Maker. So, yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've tried any other product that you're happy with. I've heard that air dry mold makers are actually quite good, and of course, silicone always works for molds. So, if you've tried this before, let me know in the comments below. And that is it for today's tutorial. I hope that you learned something. I know it's not perfect. It's really a process, especially if you're using something for the first time. And I understand that. So I hope that you're patient enough with me today as I try something new. See you next weekend. Bye!